so the way that we're looking at the moment, so I'm in Doha currently for our first Diamond League, which we'll have this one, another one in Marrakesh next week, another comp in Estonia, and then Oslo, then Stockholm, and then I'll come home. So it's 5 comps in 4 weeks. Focus is to essentially use this as a bit of a testing battleground on just providing form for Olympics, and then we can kind of get all the data on what's working, what's not, and put it into the final program to get our absolute best form for Olympics. But also just to compete against the best guys and put your foot in the door and fight for that, because you can get to the best form as you want, but until you really learn how to compete and throw what's required no matter what, I think that's where you really start to hedge your bets when you're going to Olympics and wanting to compete to win. So yeah, it's just getting battle hardened and getting these costs and rip in and try and scalp a couple of big boys. So. Yeah, so I guess the four that are really most considered for medals right now is I mean, like, there's others, obviously, like there's other great, really solid competitors, but just in the last 4 years of like proven competing and whatnot, especially the major championships, it's Daniel Stahl, obviously, current world champ, and reigning Olympic champion, Christian Che, who's competing in Doha tonight with me, Lekna, Nicholas Lekna, who just broke the world record recently, and then myself. A lot of people are kind of, I would say, looking at me as a slight outlier, a bit of an underdog for that, but which is fine. Love a bit of doubt. So, and then there's at the same time there's like a good smattering of other guys that are really competitive and really fill that top 8. So those are the other 3. Those are the main 3 of getting over the top of over these next 4 weeks, and I guess just because that's the thing, right? Like, say for a lot of the things, what happened was I threw that 69.35, and then Meaty's like, oh, it's great, put you in a great position for Olympic gold and whatever, and then I said in the interview, I was like, look, world record will probably get broken tomorrow, just so you're aware. Good conditions, like, can't ask for better out at Oklahoma there, so don't be surprised if he comes and throws 74. Throw 74, and then everyone's like, oh mate, you're 5 meters behind, like, what, it's hard to make a claim for winning Olympic gold. I'm like, mate, it's not the same comp. Like, you can't compare one comp against the other when it comes to conditions and everything else of the likes that come to big throws. So these are more the times where you can actually compare how far, like, are you on pace? Are you behind? Are you in front? So, it'd be nice to see where we sit at the moment. But yeah, I hold myself strong. We're in good form. It's just we're going to make sure it lines up when it counts. So. I think it's great that World Athletics are leading the front on that, around providing a financial reward for spending the majority of your life training for something to compete and whatnot. I think, obviously there's a lot of scrutiny around what you can and can't do, especially with personal sponsors and whatnot surrounding Olympics, if they're not a main sponsor, and how that then legally works back if you become an Olympic medalist and so on and so forth. But I think the whole argument of saying that track and field's an amateur sport, or like the Olympics should be an amateur sport, like, mate, there's billions of dollars on the table when it comes to what surrounds the sport, how it happens, what makes the Olympics work, and considering that we're the key providers in the entertainment, why people watch it, especially athletics, considering it's the main part of the show. I mean, it might be biased of me to say it, but I would say that. So to not have athletes supported in that, when it is a professional endeavor now, like, back in the day, like, when it was even sometimes frowned upon to train for the event leading into an Olympics and stuff like that, like, that's true amateur sport. Like that's what that is. But it's not that, we aren't in that world anymore. Like that's not what the sport is anymore. So people dedicate lives to creating these kinds of things. You have obviously you have your support from your federations and from World Athletics when you're doing major championships like World Championships, World Athletics Championships and whatnot. So the fact that, we put this, the Olympics is supposed to be the pedigree, but yet you're not financially rewarded for something that you dedicated your whole life for, I think isn't really a strong argument anymore. Like obviously, in the defense of the IOC, they do a great job at pushing money back into grassroots stuff and support through, the National Olympic Committees and how that, whether it's broadcasting rights or however they've earned that money from a certain Olympics, how that pushes back into the sport. I think they do a great job at that. But I do think that financial compensation around creating those performances, creating Olympic records and everything alike, I think that it needs to not just rely on, AIS support and Athletics Australia support and everything surrounding that.